Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Av-
So,
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
yes, let's start with the prayer for today. Standing up, let's start. Ashok
Can
ji, over to you.
can you please try? I don't see the screen. I'm on my phone, so otherwise I should have brought the book down. I'm sorry. Uh, I don't
Oh,
have the
okay. Can you
screen.
see it now?
Yeah, I can see it now. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. Universal prayer. O Parvardigar, the preserver and protector of all, you are without beginning and without end, non-dual, beyond comparison, and none can measure you. You are without color, without expression, without form, and without attributes. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, eternal and imperishable. You are indivisible, and none can see you, but with eyes divine. You always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere, you are in everything, and you're also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths. You are manifest and unmanifest on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. Given by Meher Baba on 13th September 1953. You are the creator, the Lord of Lords, knower of all minds and hearts. You are omnipotent and omnipresent. Your knowledge infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future. And you are knowledge itself. You are all merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the Trinity. You are sorry. You are the Trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parmeshwar. You are the beyond God and the beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Ilahi, Yazdan, Armaz, and God the Beloved. You are named Izzat, the only one worthy of worship. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. The prayer of repentance. This prayer was dictated by Meher Baba in 1952. We repent, O God most merciful, for all our sins, for every thought that was false or unjust or unclean, for every word spoken that ought not to have been spoken, for every deed done that ought not to have been done. We repent for every deed and word and thought inspired by selfishness, and for every deed and word and thought inspired by hatred. We repent especially for every lustful thought and every lustful action, for every lie, for all hypocrisy, for every promise given but not fulfilled, and for all slander and backbiting. Most especially, also, we repent for every action that has brought ruin to others, for every word and deed that has given others pain, and for every wish that pain should be for others. In your unbounded mercy, we ask you to forgive us, O God, for all these sins committed by us and to forgive us for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will. Pray for Baba's lovers and Mandali. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more, and still yet more until we become worthy of union with you, and help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so much. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba Sanjay.
Yeah, Jai Baba. Jai Baba Karthik. Jai Baba. So we are in session 11. We are parallelly tracing the wayfarer's journey. That's what I would like to describe the phase that we are in. We are in volume one of the book. So we finished with 10 sessions. We finished with page 217. And let's get to uh, continue from there. So, spirituality covers all life. That's the section that we're going to start with today. Ashokji, do you want to read with the background of the birds?
Yes, I can read as long as there is uh, it's not it doesn't disturb you. There'll be some background noise, some
No,
air.
there's nothing. There's nothing right now. So keep. This is a good time. So
Oh,
please go
very,
ahead.
very good.
Jai Baba.
I need to see the screen.
Uh, I'm sharing right now.
Yeah, okay.
Is it visible?
Not yet, but it's okay. It takes time. I don't know. I can see KB and Sanjay on the screen. Yeah, it's visible now. That is spirituality covers all
Please
life.
continue.
Yeah. Could you hear the sound of the
Yeah,
aircraft?
yeah, yeah. No,
I
nothing. Please go ahead.
Okay. So Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Spirituality covers all life. From Vadi Velu's house on the way to Saidapet, we were taken to a matinee movie. All the seats in the balcony were reserved for Baba people. The owner of the theatre had requested Baba to view this picture, a film based on the life of a lover of God, a mythological story. It was in Tamil, so we could not follow the conversation. After some time, we left our seats in the balcony for the cars, which were waiting outside to take us to Meher Bhavan. When we arrived there, we found that the arrangements for the public darshan were complete. Soon the road was overcrowded with people, men, women, and children. To pacify the darshan hungry crowd, Baba stood up, his regal face beaming with love. He folded his hands to the people in a way to his own selves in the crowd. He dictated on his alphabet board. I am very happy to see you all. Every one of you is in one form or the other of the divine manifestation. You are all in me. I'm in you all. The only way to realize God is through love. For the public in general, there was a special message, resuscitation of religion, in which he stated the urgent need of today to resuscitate religion is to dig it out of its narrow and dark hidings and coverings and let the spirit of man shine out as once again in its pristine glory. The most practical thing to do in the world is to be spiritually minded. It needs no special time, place, or circumstances. It is not necessarily concerned with anything out of the way in anyone's daily life and day to day routine. It's never too late or too early to be spiritual. A suggestion, Karthik, can we
Hmm.
highlight part? It's really a need of the day for this, for everyone in this century.
From here. Yeah.
From the earlier paragraph, also. I mean, I know I'm being a little academic here, but I think this is a message for everyone. All the travails which are happening in the world.
Yes. Please continue.
Thanks. It is just a simple question of having a right attitude towards lasting values, changing circumstances, avoidable eventualities, and a sense of the inevitable. Spirituality is neither restricted to nor can be restricted by anyone or anything, anywhere, at any time. It covers all life for all time. Today, from morning right up to late night, there was a program after program. It was unforgettable sight to see Baba with that compassionate poise and delightful equanimity, accommodating himself to the needs of various persons. Significance of washing the master's feet. We were to leave Madras on April 5th, 1947 by the morning train, so we all got up pretty early. As the time for Baba to leave Meher Bhavan was drawing close, a few of the family members looked sad and were in tears. Generally, Baba did not allow people to touch his feet, but as recognition of his love for the late C.V. Sampath Iyengar, Baba even permitted the family to wash his feet with milk and honey, a rare privilege. Meher Baba once explained the symbolic significance of this act of worship. The feet,
Okay, I think this is in Lord Meher. Anyway, go ahead.
uh, okay, it's really emotional, huh? The feet, which were physically the lowest part of the body, are spiritually the highest. Physically, the feet go through everything, good and bad, beautiful and ugly, clean and dirty. Yet they are above everything. So spiritually, the feet of a perfect master are above everything in the universe, which is like dust to them.
Wonderful. So I'm sure a few of you might have met members of the Iyengar family. Uh, Unfortunately, I think they have not been. I mean, the center itself could do with a lot more help, but then there are hardly any people available on the ground in Chennai to sustain and support the physical efforts required to keep the center going. But it's a very beautiful center and obviously a very special family because Baba has been very nice to them.
Yes, yes. It's the yeah. It's sad, and we are far off. And is it the same photograph which you? There
Yeah,
was a.
last week we were seeing photographs. Yes.
Thank you, Karthik.
Are you referring to that? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Some
Yeah,
blue
yeah.
stone, and then there's some flowers on that. Anyway,
Yes, yes. Same thing, same thing.
yes.
Meher Temple of Silence. It's called the Temple of Silence. At that time, as Bal Natu refers to it, it's called Meher Bhavan. It's just next to the Saidapet railway station in Chennai.
So they need physical volunteers or they need money.
Uh, I think physical volunteers. See, because uh, I don't think they even have a full-time help or caretaker at that venue and somebody who can keep the place going. It's fairly big. I mean, it's not big, but it needs upkeep.
Well, the manager and you can do something. That's the only thing I can see now. Anyway, Jay Baba.
Jai Baba.
When people came to a perfect master and touched his feet with their heads, they lay upon him the burden of their sanskaras, those subtle impressions of thought and emotion which bind the individual soul to recurrent earthly lives. This is the burden which Jesus meant he would assume when he said, "Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest." I just wanted to add that Dr. Kadikar said that in the Baba fraternity, people don't touch each other's feet. Uh, and I think now this is the reason we are transferring sanskara when we touch somebody's feet. So anyway, that's
I
just
think
a tradition, but in the Hindu way of life, we touch our elders' feet. But instead, he said we can give a hug.
no, but then the Hindu tradition is also right in a very circuitous way. But then after you understand why Baba says don't do it, I think it will naturally go away from you because I am also used to it. I have grown up in India. I don't hesitate in reaching out to
Elders.
offer respect by reaching out to people's feet. But then after I understood the principle which Baba has explained, I think we should not do that at all. It's now natural. I very rarely do it. I do it where it will be a public embarrassment if I don't.
Yes. So we should refrain as far as possible, right?
Yeah, so where it would be a public scene, if I don't do it, then I will do it.
That
Yeah,
is found a practical solution to it. Thanks,
yeah,
Karthik. A
yeah, yeah.
perfect collects these sanskaras from all over the universe, just as an ordinary person in walking collects dust on his feet. Those who love him deeply wash his feet with honey, milk, and water, representing different types of sanskaras, and place at his feet at a coconut, which represents the mind and symbolizes their complete surrender. There's a cross reference 70.
I think this is discourses.
Yeah, okay.
Oh no, it's not.
Oh, Malcolm
Malcolm,
Tosh,
go ahead.
Malcolm Slosh, The Feast Day of a Modern Christ, Meher Baba Journal, February 1942, page 208. Where were we? Sorry.
Baba did not.
Asha, Baba did not invite us to wash his feet, so I was just a silent spectator to this hallowed act of worship. Baba looked delighted as well as solemn and seemed so absorbed and so alert to everything at one and the same time. Except for a few, the local Baba lovers were not asked to visit either Mayor Bhavan or the railway station that morning. Baba's words of farewell to his dear ones in Madras were, I am always with you. Still, I have been very happy for the days you have been with me. You may feel that now I am going away, but you should never find that I have gone away. It is for you to hold on to me now and forever. On my part, and my I and my love will never leave you here or thereafter. Perfect forgetfulness.
It's. I think. Can you read this para
Yes,
again?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm very moved and very touched
Yes,
by this.
yes, yes. We
So,
read we'll read the
sorry, 1 second. I just
from
scrolled
wherever,
too far away.
from wherever you say. I'll start again.
Yeah, yeah, just the para that is
Yeah, yeah.
highlighted now.
It's really, it is emotional. It's touching,
Yes, yes.
and it is very nice. Jay Baba. I am always with you. Still, I have been very happy for the days you have been with me. You may feel that now I am going away, but you should never find that I have gone away. It is for you to hold on to me now and forever. On my part, I and my love will never leave you here or thereafter. This sort of explains when he says, hold on to my daman, or he's always with you. He's
Yes.
everywhere, omnipresent, and so we should not feel that even if you have not seen him physically in this lifetime, he's with us. Jai Baba.
Baba, Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Perfect forgetfulness to conscious powerfulness. One bogie carriage was reserved for the Baba party on the Madras Bombay Express, and in the morning we boarded the train. It was a unique experience to travel with Baba. Now one felt more at home with him and his moods. As the train left station, a basket of fruit was unpacked, and Baba began to throw the fruit as prasad to those in the compartment. Sometimes he looked in one direction and the fruit in another. So we had to be alert to catch it. If someone dropped the catch, he had to go near Baba, turn the fruit, and wait for the next chance. It was indeed a fine indoor sport. Limker, who was traveling in the same compartment, tried to go 3 times to read the sum of his poems to Meher Baba that were based on his divinity. Baba was busy with some other work, so he gestured, Limker, I know the contents of the poems before they were composed. Looking at Dr. Dankin and pointing at Limker, Baba remarked in a lighter vein of his inimitable humor, Don, I have explained 8 types of musk in the Wayfarers. Here is the ninth time. After some time, Baba was in the mood to give a discourse through the means of his alphabet board. I was all ears and eyes. It was for the first time I ever saw and heard Baba giving a discourse. Jal was reading the board. Dr. Ghani repeated the Hindi so that all the members in the compartment could hear well and understand Baba's words. Mainly the discourse clarified three states of consciousness: the sound sleep state of perfect forgetfulness, the awake dream state of increasing helplessness, the real awake state of all powerfulness. If I may say, there is a chapter in Listen Humanity. I think it's stages of sleep.
I
Wait,
think we're going to take it up like probably the next week or maybe this week itself. Yeah, that's I think the second chapter in
yeah,
part two.
second chapter, part two, and it's got something. It's got much greater explanations and all stages of dream, sleep, awake, and of course sound sleep. And he says when you're in sound sleep, although you may not be conscious of it, but
One with God.
you have become godlike, or you have the most potent connection with God.
Absolutely.
In I'm just reminded of that. In the beginning, Baba explained how natural is the pull within our consciousness to retire into deep sleep, and how vital it is the drive to wake up and aspire for an expansion in consciousness. He lucidly explained how God, the incomprehensible, plays the indescribable game of waking himself to his own infinite wakefulness latent in the original sound sleep state. This is effected through the process of increasing helplessness, which in the end becomes unlimited. The absolute helplessness of itself is turned into all powerfulness.
I'm tempted to request you to read again
Yes, yes.
the last line of this paragraph. Just see how beautiful the words are. He lucidly explained, if you don't mind,
You
or I
need to
can read.
full paragraph.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the
please go ahead.
beginning, Baba explained how natural is the pull within your consciousness to retire into deep sleep, and how vital is the drive to wake up and aspire for an expansion in consciousness. He lucidly explained how God, the incomprehensible, plays the indescribable game of waking himself to his own infinite wakefulness latent in the original sound sleep state. This is effected through the process of increasing helplessness, which in the end becomes unlimited. This absolute helplessness of itself is turned into all powerfulness. Baba's gestures and facial expressions, his rhythm and pauses as his fingers moved on the board, presented a marvelous sight so vivid in memory to this day. At the end of the discourse, I vaguely gathered that the timeless transmutation of the of infinite unconsciousness into infinite consciousness is a phenomenon of which the beyond state of God is neither aware nor oblivious. It is really the beyond untouched by any experience. The magnitude of the subject matter made my mind silent. I looked out the window at the fast moving trees and fields and the sky and horizon, wherein the reflection of the beyond was manifesting in one way or the other. What an astounding beyond with an endless variety of splendor about it.
What a beautiful set of paras that we read this morning. I'm very uh, I was very excited about what we read today. Very beautiful. Anyway,
Absolutely.
yes, thank you so much for reading, Ashok ji. Maybe we can also use this opportunity of the subtopic change to change the reading. Any
Definitely.
volunteers to read? Sunil, Sanjay ji,
There's Shekhar also, Shekhar M.
yeah, Shekhar, anyone? But
Absolutely.
Shekhar may
I
be
would
driving, I think.
I want to give chance to. I mean, I should not become selfish here. So
Yeah.
please, Sanjay ji, or even
Okay.
you can read
Yeah,
Karthik.
I will read for a bit, and then we can by the time when somebody is ready, they will pick up.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Okay,
Uh,
Baba.
is my screen still visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Avatar Meher Baba ki joy. The internal journey with the master. After the discourse, Baba wished to retire from the Mandali for his work. Some of us found an unoccupied first class coupe on the train, so it was reserved for Baba. As he left the carriage, he instructed Dr. Donkin to occupy his seat until he returned. We did full justice to the lunch so lovingly given by our dear host at Madras. Baba made a few visits to our compartment and asked some of us to tell him a few stories or jokes to relieve the burden of his work. Then he gestured to Sidhu, who is a ready kawal in waiting, to sing a ghazal. The substance of the Urdu lines, as per my limited understanding of the language, was as follows. Love is a strange binding. It binds and unwinds. The more you bind yourself to the beloved, the greater the freedom unwinding you have. But such love is very rare. In fact, love is an ocean of fire that you have to cross to meet the beloved. By evening, Baba had returned to his coupe with Kaka Baria, Adi Senior, and Dr. Donkin. In the early morning, the train reached Kurduwadi, the station where I had joined the Baba party. Leaving those who were in the compartment, I stepped down onto the platform. The window of Baba's coupe was open, and I saw him preoccupied and absorbed in his work. Even in that unseeing state, he gave me a look of compassion for a second, and I left, and I felt satisfied. I did not dare to go near him to offer namaskar, for I feared that it might draw a crowd to Baba's coupe and thus disturb him in his work. I left the railway station with heavy steps and mingled feelings of joy and sorrow. The happy moments of Sahwas are surrounded by unseen tears of separation. It was a pity that the journey ended so soon, but once begun, does the internal journey with the Master ever end until final union? That's the end of the chapter. We now go to chapter 15. So that's the Chennai visit, the last chapter. And now we go to the Satara stay, 1947. Meher Baba's stay at Satara, 1947. Baba is fire. Meher Baba returned to Pune from Madras on Easter morning, April 6, 1947, and proceeded to Mahabaleshwar. The mail that was awaiting his arrival contained a few cables and many letters. One of his dear ones from the west coast of the United States, who had not yet met him physically, expressed her feelings in the following words. Longing for you, my beloved, your blessed feet are the kiss of God on earth. Baba sent his love blessings in return, and also what sort of awakening through the inner planes we do not know. Short poem or a chant which is given below was read out to Baba. As he heard the lines, he seemed delighted and tapped the alphabet board rhythmically, expressing his happiness. Om to the north, Om to the south, only one name shall cross my mouth. Om to the east, home to the West. We know the name that we love best. Om, 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 Abba, 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 Holy, 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 Baba, Baba, Baba. Like a child, Baba appeared very pleased to hear such simple poems composed in different languages by his dear ones. Baba also, though rarely, composed poems in various languages, rhyming simple words, once with reference to the responses received by Baba lovers who remembered him wholeheartedly. Baba remarked, Baba is fire. He was in a jovial mood and dictated some lines through his board. The poem thus composed is given below. Baba is fire. When you feel cold and sit near the fire, it drives out your cold and makes you perspire. When you feel hungry and cook on the fire, it gives you your food for which you aspire. But if you, like a fool, try to play with fire, it may burn you so badly that would make hell admire. After a 2 or 3 days stay at Mahabaleshwar, Baba planned to spend a score of days in seclusion at Purandar, a fort connected with the life of King Shivaji, who lived between 1630 and 1680 AD, situated on the top of a mountain over 4,000 feet high. This plan was set to work before leaving for Madras the beginning of April, and the Mast Ali Shah was taken to the fort on April 10. There were unusual showers and a great gale raged for a week. Baba worked with Ali Shah until April 19 and moved to Ajinkatara Fort near Satara. He stayed there for 5 days and spent many hours all alone in a lonely part of this ruined fortress. At the end of April, he returned to Mahabaleshwar, Mast Ashram at Satara. By the last week of May 1947, Baba had shifted his headquarters from Mahabaleshwar to Satara, where he stayed. In Mutha's newly built bungalow with the women mandali, three other bungalows were also rented, one for the men mandali, the second for Dr. Donkin and Dr. Ghani, who were working on the final phase of the book on Mas, the Wayfarers, and the third bungalow, because of the Mas who were brought there, can well be referred to as the Satara Mastashram. Baba had sent letters of
Jay
instructions.
Baba, Karthik, sorry to trouble you.
Yeah,
Can you read that poem once again? It's really simple, but it's got a lot of, I know, if it's okay with you, everybody and you know that
yeah, I
poem.
just,
Finish
sure,
this
the fire,
paragraph and then
yeah, the fire point.
yeah, okay, yeah. The fire
Yeah,
poem and
I'll finish the para and then do it. That's exactly what I thought.
yes, yes. Thank you.
And the third bungalow, because, yeah, okay. Baba had sent letters of instructions a month earlier to some of his devotees and disciples to bring certain types of musk to Satara by mid June. For one reason or the other, most of them did not succeed in bringing any musk. Only Minu Kharas brought two musks, Babaji and Payaji. They were of the moderate type, and Baba sent them back to Karachi after 3 days. Now let's do the fire that Ashok ji loved. This is Baba's poem. Baba is fire. When you feel cold and sit near the fire, it drives out your cold and makes you perspire. When you feel hungry and cook on the fire, it gives you your food for which you aspire. But if you, like a fool, try to play with fire, it may burn you so badly that would make hell admire. So be
I,
careful with fire.
yeah, yes. If I may say so, you know, I think fire is compared with sanskaras of the work or deeds, and it's really, I mean, although it's a simple poem, I think it's got a very profound meaning. Thanks, Karthik.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm still figuring out the the depth of that, but thank you.
And this is just my interpretation. It might be.
Yeah. I also did not. I probably glossed over it, but something to think about.
Jai Baba, thank you.
Yeah, let's continue about the mast ashram at Satara. The mast ashram at Satara rested mainly on two powerful pillars, Ali Shah and Chacha of Ajmer. Ali Shah, by the way, is the mast from Ahmednagar. Ali Shah was ever available for Baba's mast work. The arrival of Chacha made the ashram activities very significant and vibrant spiritually, and he stayed at Satara for about 5 weeks. He was a seventh plane Majzub, experiencing the I am God state in which I is neither the subject nor God the object. It is being what reality, Digar, eternally is. Now, this is a little bit of a confusion because a must is not a Majzub. But I'll just state so much and leave it. Don't I mean I don't want to tangentially go off on a discussion. Chacha is clearly a Majzub, I mean a must, and so is Ali Shah. And Majzub is not a must. So with great difficulty, Baidul brought Chacha from Ajmer to Satara on June 3rd. After his arrival, this great Majzub occupied a seat in the corner of a room in the ashram, and he practically did not leave this room during his entire stay. He would sit for hours and hours on just a strip of matting, occasionally changing to a place a few yards away. About Baba's contacts with Chacha, particularly during this period, Dr. Donkin wrote, each day Baba spent most of his time plying Chacha with tea and food or sitting with him in silent conference. During these weeks, after sitting for an hour or two with Ali Shah and particularly with Chacha, Baba would emerge with face pale and tired, and often with clothes drenched in perspiration. It seemed as if in his silent conferences with these great musts, he had to focus the rays of his infinite power through the lens of his body, and his body felt the strain. Again, I like the language Bal Natu uses in places. It seemed as if in his silent conferences with these great musts, and take note now, he had to focus the rays of his infinite power, that is Baba's infinite power, through the lens of his body. And his body, the lens, felt the strain. Beautiful. And the reference is from William Donkin, Wayfarers. Oh, okay. This is Donkin's words. Sorry, this line that touched me is Donkin's words from Wayfarers. Let's continue. Baba generally bathed and shaved the musts living in the must ashram, but Chacha flatly refused to be bathed. Only after great persuasion by Baba and the Mandali was he amenable to the removal of his filthy clothes. It was a sort of miracle that, in spite of his living for over 2 decades in an unclean hovel with such dirty clothes on his body, he kept robust health. On July 10th, he was sent back to Ajmer with Baidul. Ali Shah was the first and last inmate of his mast ashram, of this mast ashram. He was the opener and the bat in hand to return to his pavilion at Mehrabad. The Satara Mast Ashram was closed by July 13, 1947. By the way, Bal Natu is referring to this temporary location as Mast Ashram, but it was not never actually called like that formally by Baba. Just making a point. Circular regarding correspondence and a fast. On July 1, a circular was issued which banned correspondence with Meher Baba. It was mainly for his lovers in India. Only telegrams were permissible in serious matters. Prior to the circular, a letter from one of his dear ones was read to him. The person concerned had landed himself in great difficulties and felt tortured. In directing the reply to this letter, Baba remarked through his alphabet board, you are not the cause of your difficulties. Baba himself is the cause of the world going wrong or right. Baba, however, pacified him by conveying at the end, don't worry, everything will be all right with you. My love to you. Baba's words of love were of great help to that troubled soul in giving relief from the pressure of so many worries. It gave him the understanding that Baba was with him in all events, wrong or right. And Baba is as much the cause as the effect, for he is the undivided life of humanity. So I was party to a very interesting discussion on Monday evening, Monday night, I should say, late night. We were talking about the wish and will of Baba. So, in fact, we were talking with Israeli Baba lover who was describing the scenes literally around her house and the stress that it is giving her. And there was a conversation where she was saying, all this is Baba's wish. And somebody countered, and I'm bringing it up so that it could make us also think about it. So is it right on our part to leave everything as Baba's wish? As Baba has said, not a leaf would flutter, not a strain of grass would move without his will. And hence, because of that statement, leave everything as his wish. Or also realize that we as parts of him, parts of the same divine, as represent as drop souls, have been so irresponsible with the opportunity of this human birth that we have received, and this beautiful creation that we belong to. I've been so irresponsible and so lost in illusion that we've been creating these problems over and over again for ourselves. It was rather moving that we were talking to somebody who's in the eye of the storm, in the eye of what the Middle East crisis is, and the war that's going on, and we were talking about this topic. Personally, I feel that what Baba said in the previous para is prevailing, right? So everything is Baba's will, and he does everything. In During the wars, he has specifically said it's completely his wish that what is I mean it is his wish that is being carried out. But what Mikhal said is also right in the sense that it's all of us making it up, and that's the seesaw that happens due to the journey of the individual drop souls and their sanskaras. So with that, I'll just leave it open for any quick comments, or we can keep continuing. I just felt I should share that.
Yeah. I have a comment, Kartik.
Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yes. Uh, of course, Baba is everything happens according to Baba's will and wish. As we know, Baba has said, not even a leaf falls off of a tree without God's will. So that's our faith, that's our conviction that everything happens according to God's will. However, when we are looking at our uh, role in this whole divine lila and all this creation, we are bound by our past sanskaras, whatever it has been. And Baba, with all his compassion, making it easier for us to, of course, forgive some of them, make it easier for us to have a proper incarnation according to the nature of those sanskaras, so it could be consumed and balanced out, and then we can come back. I personally don't like, and I used to see that a lot, that where people blame Baba for their misfortune, for the flood that's coming, for the earthquake, for this, for that, um, and of course, it is his will, but he is not to be blamed. You know, and if we suffer through it, we are destined to suffer through it because our sanskaras requires that. that we be in that situation and deal with it. So it's something to really live by. Yeah, Jay Baba.
Jai Baba, I think each one to their personal views on the interpretation, but it's such an important aspect of adjusting to the creative universe that we belong to. We belong in a context. We belong in a context which thankfully includes Baba, but we have to reconcile to the to this illusory context and make the right adjustment with it. And I think that makes our lives a little more, I dare say, tolerable, right? And we can deal with it better. And of course, Baba should be our only continuing guide and beacon of light. Yeah. Anyway, let me continue then. If there are no other comments on this topic, but it's something to think about. On July 10, as per the circular letter, Baba people were asked to observe a fast for 24 hours beginning at 7 a.m. Perhaps it was a beginning for subsequent years when either fast or silence was observed by Baba lovers all over the world on this blessed Silence Day. Arrival of Elizabeth and Norina. Yeah, this is a point where we can also rotate the reading. Anybody wants to read from this point on?
I can
Maybe
read.
not. Yeah, please go ahead. Maybe I can come back in the end again for a few minutes. Please go ahead, Mahu. You're on mute. You can go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, now I
Yeah.
have it. Hold on. I'm sorry. I am between the text and okay. Arrival of Elizabeth and Norina. In March 1947, Meher Baba had sent a special message of cheer and hope to his dear ones in the United States. It was circulated to them through Elizabeth Patterson and Norina Machubeli. After completing this work, these two devoted disciplines left for India and arrived on July 13, 1947. Norina had been ill for a few months, so a separate bungalow was rented at Satara to accommodate them comfortably. Adi Sr. was entrusted with driving the two women from Bombay to Satara, and he arrived with them at the appointed time. It was a long awaited meeting. Baba looked at Elizabeth and Norina with those ever young eyes which had the splendor of the beyond, and the years of separation passed into unreality. Sorry. Kitty Devi, one of the women Mandali living at Satara, wrote a beautiful account of this incident. Norina, before leaving New York, had been very ill with a heart condition. Picture Baba standing on the doorstep of the Satara house as Adi's car arrives, bringing Norina and Elizabeth from the Bombay. Baba's, Baba's encompassing embrace that wiped out time, his welcoming smile that uplifts the heart, his unmatched tenderness as he helps Norina up the steps, his subsequent care and attention throughout the 2 years she remained in India, appointing Dr. Goher to look after her. These are incidents one always remembers. Baba had arranged a separate bungalow for Norina and Elizabeth. Dear Kaka was the major domo in Norina and Elizabeth's bungalow. Norina, with her wonderful sense of humor, remarked when she found they were in a separate bungalow and not with the girls, quote, "We who came from the West with all our worries and troubles seemingly had to be put into a spiritual quarantine for a period." Baba put Norina on silence for the first 6 weeks after her arrival. A little bit up. No, I guess you took it.
No, no, I'm
Oh,
just
I'm
reading
sorry.
the, yeah.
Yeah. Kitty, that is number 72. Kitty Davy Recollections. That's the name of the article from the Awakener magazine, volume 6, number 2, summit of 1959, page 14. Yeah, that's a write up by Kitty. Thank you. I forgot. Uh-huh. Meher Baba's sense of humor. In the summer of 1947, Dr. Goher Irani joined the Women Mandali permanently, residing with Meher Baba. She was given the duty of attending to Norina's health as her personal physician. Baba used to visit the bungalow, though not daily. One day after meeting Elizabeth and Norina, he came to Goher's room, but she had gone out. There was a small picture of Baba. Where are we? Okay, good, thank you. There was a small picture of Baba in a frame which she kept on her table. Baba put it in his pocket. As Dr. Goher hurried to meet him, he asked her, "Where is my picture that was on the table?" Not finding it in its place, Goher searched for it in different places in the room. Baba enjoyed the fun and skillfully put the small frame back on the table and stood aside. After a time, Goher noticed that as its original place, I'm sorry, at its original place, and cried out, "There it is, Baba. How could I not see it before? I wonder." Baba smiled, a glitter about his face, his eyes shining all the more with a glow of mischievousness in them. He then revealed the secret. Next title is, what was the
It's not a,
title?
it's
Oh,
no,
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
it's not a
Yeah,
title. It's
continuing.
not a title.
Okay. On some days when Baba did not visit this bungalow, there would be a little message of a line or two for Norina from him. One such message was, "Do not mind 1%, even if you do not sleep for 7 days." Another, "You can see me, be near me, but do not talk to me." During their stay at Satara, Baba once had an outing to Ajinkiyatara with the women Mandali, including Elizabeth and Norina. On another occasion, he took them for a picnic along the bank of the river Krishna. In such a lively and playful atmosphere, Norina regained her health and was able to walk to the residence of the women Mandali without any difficulty. Meher Baba's sense of humor and his playful nature had greatly helped his devotees and disciples feel their closeness to him. Some people doubt and even debate over the merits and demerits of the sense of humor noticed in perfect masters. For us, it is as much a part of a spiritual growth as is the regular sadhana. It eliminates negative projections like dejection or indiscriminate rejection. It keeps the mind alive to take things and events as they come, expected or otherwise, with ease and composure. Baba showed us that life devoid of humor is living lacking in humanness. In its absence, the devil in man gets the better of the angel, the carefree singing spirit. Hmm.
Interesting.
I am on fire. Yeah. Isn't it interesting? I think it's a metaphor he's using. I am on fire. I am aflame. On August 10, 1947, Meher Baba's next tour to contact mosques commenced. First, he visited Aurangabad and renewed his contact with the two great mosques named My Bap and Captain, which is Qutub Shah. My Bap was first contacted in May 1939 when he was brought to Holdabad. Baba bathed him, clothed him, and fed him. After a while, the mast shouted out all of a sudden, I am on fire. I am aflame. In January 1942, when he was, next page, when he was contacted for the second time, he sat alone with Baba in a room, but suddenly rushed out, saying aloud, a nail has pierced me and I cannot bear it. Such remarks from the mosques symbolically refer to the suffering entailed in sharing the spiritual work given by the avatar of the age on the inner planes of consciousness. After this contact, Maybach was taken back to his home, and Baba told Kaka to bring him daily for 7 days. Maybach, although he had not been present when Baba gave these instructions to Kaka, told Kaka a few minutes later, I will come with you for 7 days. And then touched Kaka's palm with the rolling up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Touching Kaka's palm with the back of his hand, which means a dude promise. Next day, he refused to come with Kaka, and Baba therefore went to him every evening at his own house, number 73, if you want us to read it. Yeah, that's from the Wayfarer, page 198. This time, in August 1947, Baba just renewed the old link with my Bab, who perhaps was more cooperative than before. Captain was an old, short fellow with dirty clothes, but he was a majzub-like mast of the sixth plane. Baba felt very happy to have contacted these two highly involved souls. From Aurangabad, Baba proceeded to Parali, which is Vajinath, where an advanced pilgrim named Tulsi Maharaja was contacted. Then via via Taljapur, Baba went to Hyderabad, now the capital of Andhra Pradesh, and there he contacted six mosques in all. Only one murshid was a new contact. After visiting Zahirabad, Baba returned to his headquarters at Satara by mid-August. With this short mass, with this short mass tour to Hyderabad, the stay at Satara came to a close, and arrangements were being made for the whole group to stay at Merabah. During Baba's stay at Satara, many persons asked him through the Mandali next page, for a public darshan program. He generally consented to have such a program by the time he was about to leave a certain place. Accordingly, about this time too, Baba condescended to give a few hours darshan for the people residing near Satara. Only a few Baba people from um, outstations were permitted to come. Adi Senior informed me in advance about this, and I decided not to lose this chance, although it might be for only a few hours. At the time of this darshan program at Satara on August 24th, Mauni, one of my friends and one of Meher Baba's dear ones, had the opportunity to meet Baba for the first time and get his instructions concerning meditation. I wish to narrate in detail how I came to know Mauni and about his first meeting with Meher Baba at Satara. Title is I Meet Mauni in a Train. In those days, I had some contacts with a socialist group through an organization called Rashtra Seva Dal. It had a Kala Patak. It had a Kala Patak, a band of singers and actors that entertained people and at the same time tried to inculcate love of the nation and humanity at large. I knew very well about playing the harmonium, but being a school teacher, I could not refuse to play it for the pupils, and my colleagues in Rashtra Sevadol so requested. One such function was arranged at Madnimb, a nearly place. The program was to commence at 10 o'clock in the evening. The moon was slowly rising on the horizon, lighting the sky with silver. Most of the party had left earlier, and I hurried to catch a train in order to be in time for the cultural program at the village fair. The train whistled and started as I took my seat. I found myself facing a young man with long black hair and a beard on the opposite seat. Since returning from Madras, after spending some days in the divine Sahavas of Meher Baba a few months earlier, a few months earlier, I had I had been so infused with enthusiasm that I could not let any opportunity go by to tell others about Baba. I did not care whether people heard me with mere curiosity or otherwise. How could I now miss such an opportunity to give the news about Baba to that bearded soul? Where are you going, Swami? I asked conversationally. He just raised his finger, gesturing a distant place. I gathered that he was observing silence, and this made me all the more communicative. The Swami or Mauni, as he was observing Maun or silence, took out his small slate and a slate pencil. He wrote out his replies for me, and I think it was a queer amusement for the other passengers in the crowded compartment. Our conversation continued. After a while, I asked him, Mani, you have roamed enough from Hardwar to Rameshwaram, from the north to the south of India. Has this itinerary served its purpose? Do you wish to move about continuously from place to place? To this Mauni replied, perhaps. I am a seeker after truth, but I am still groping. I found him honest and sincere in his replies, so I said to him further, I too have not realized the truth, but fortunately I have met the one who knows it and who is the truth or reality himself. It's a nice way of saying.
Yeah.
Who is he? Yeah, I mean, we can learn from him. Who is he? He inquired eagerly. I did not tell him Meher Baba's name. In my experience, Orthodox Hindu sadhus, and Muslim fakirs disregard the status of spiritual personalities from other religions. And Meher Baba was born to a Zoroastrian family. I simply replied, we will talk about the enlightened one if we happen to meet again. By this time, the train had reached Mudnim, Mudnim, where I had to get off. Reluctantly, we had to cut short the conversation, so I asked him for his address and coincidentally learned that he lived in Kordowarji as I did.
Okay,
Title is
we can,
Mauni.
yeah,
Sure,
maybe we can rotate to the
of
last
course.
reader before we wrap up. Thank you so much for reading.
Sure.
Anybody? Maybe I will continue, or if you're okay, you can continue as well. We have
No,
another
please
20
continue.
minutes to
That's
go.
no,
Okay,
no.
let me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mauni accompanies me to Satara. After a few days, I met Mauni in a temple and had some conversations with him about my association and contacts with Meher Baba. With an open mind, he expressed his earnest desire to have Baba's darshan. He was sincere about wanting to see God in his heart, as well as in human form as the God man. As chance would have it, I got the news from Adi Senior that Baba would give a few hours darshan at Satara. Hearing this, Mauni prepared to avail himself of this opportunity, and riding on the crest of a lucky wave, we left for Satara. It was August 1947. Norina Machabelli and Elizabeth Patterson were staying in the special bungalow in the camp area at Satara. I think the darshan program was arranged to be in this bungalow, which was surrounded with blooming trees and flowers. We reached Satara shortly after noon. The darshan was to commence at 3 p.m. As we alighted from the bus, it began to drizzle slightly, but then delightful sunshine spilled a delicate glow over the trees and plants and the distant hills. It seems that rain showers have some mystical connection with Meher Baba's programs. By the time we reached the bungalow, the hall was packed full. Baba, with a garland of roses, looked very beautiful and graceful. He had stretched out his legs, and heaps of garlands were lying by the side of his seat. Next section, a coconut represents spiritual truths. I entered the hall and stood with Mauni at the back of the crowd near the doorway. Baba spotted me and signaled for me to come near. He inquired about our journey to Satara and made us sit near him. I introduced Mauni to Baba. People were coming in a queue to take Baba's darshan. They brought garlands and fruits, and Baba gave each a smile or a pat. A small bhajan group was singing devotional songs. As the program was going on, I told Baba that Mauni had been observing silence for years. This pleased Baba, and he made a sign of touching the forehead with his fingers, meaning that Mauni was fortunate. Mauni expressed a desire to have a picture of Meher Baba. At once, one of the Mandali brought a fine picture, and Baba gave it to Mauni. After a while, Baba took a coconut in his hand and, looking at us both, began to explain its symbolic significance. Catching some threads of the coir, Baba gestured, "This is like a gross body." Tapping the hard shell, Baba conveyed, "This is like a subtle body." And the inner white kernel is like a mental body. Then, shaking the coconut a bit so as to refer to the sweet water inside, Baba concluded, "That is I, Baba, truth." He conveyed all this through such sweet and eloquent gestures and with so few words as he alone could do. Then Baba gave the coconut to Mauni and told him to place the Baba picture that had just been given to him against that coconut, using it as a stand. He told Mauni to concentrate on that picture for half an hour after midnight every day. Mauni was pleased, so pleased that tears of joy at having met the perfect master sparkled in his eyes. It was his first contact, and his sincere wish was lovingly responded to. Baba asked him to continue this sadhana of meditation for 6 months, and then to inform him about it. Do sincerely what is told. After some time, Mauni was tempted to ask Baba a question about his diet. Are there any restrictions about food? Am I to fast for some days during the period of 6 months? Mauni wrote this on a slate, and I read it out to Baba. There is a tendency in man, myself included, to show off indirectly his ability or virtue to others, even when he has the good fortune to come in contact with a perfect master who knows everything. It is a trick of the mind to express its sense of separateness in a respectable way. But on the spiritual path, one has to understand the ways of me and mine and to efface them rather than nourish them. Upon hearing the question, Baba looked a bit indifferent and said, "What has fasting to do with that?" I read again, "What was fasting to do with what I have told you to do? If you so desire, you can please yourself. You can take food 7 times a day or fast for 7 days. It does not matter in the least whether you take only milk and buttermilk or exclude them outright. Do sincerely what is told. That alone matters." We sensed
Just
that
one
it was,
second, Kartik, can we talk
yeah,
about this?
sure.
Yeah. Um, so I'm just trying to understand it. So apparently, uh, the fact that Moni asked Baba, "Can I do the fasting during this time or not?" Uh, it was to please himself and not Baba, right? I mean, that's what I'm getting. It's all Baba
Yes.
asked him to do that and nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. And then he was bragging or something like that. Isn't it very fine point? I wouldn't
That's
know.
one point. That's one point. And I think the bigger point is that just do what Baba tells you and not really bother about anything else. Anything else is, as you said, maybe you're just pandering to your own ego and your own idea of what is right or what would be validated by people around you. Whereas the spiritual practice is just between you and God, and it's just with yourself, actually, right? So, and when Baba gives an instruction, just blindly follow it. That's what I take away from this.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah. Continue then. We sense that it was rather silly to put such questions to Baba. Realizing the mistake, we kept quiet for the rest of the period and tried in silence to absorb and enjoy as much of his presence as possible. The program was over by 6 p.m., but we still lingered in the hall. We were standing by a door leading to the veranda when Mauni felt a soft, loving pat on his back. He turned his head, and to his surprise, he found that it was Baba who had just passed by him while going to the next room. The endearing ways of Meher Baba's intimacy were so numerous. We did not stay overnight at Satara, but returned straight to Kurduwadi, carrying the delightful, lingering fragrance of that Sahwas evening with Meher Baba in our hearts. Meher Baba and his men and women Mandali left Satara on August 27, 1947, and stayed 10 days at Mehrabad. Chapter 16, Visits to Gujarat and Rajasthan, 1947. Strange Disease of the God-Man. By the end of August 1947, Meher Baba was at Mehrabad. It was the first fortnight of Indian independence. India, divided into Bharat, India, and Pakistan, had obtained freedom on August 15, 1947. This moment had been most anxiously awaited. It was a period of great jubilation, unfortunately, extremely short lived, for immediately after this followed a period of bereavement due to mass evacuation, looting, and slaughtering of man by man on the borders of Bharat and Pakistan. The sad part was that it was all done in the name of religion and nationalism. It had been noted that during the Avatar's incarnation as Meher Baba, whenever there were such critical or crucial periods in the contemporary history of humanity, Meher Baba's body had to bear the brunt, and overnight he would fall sick with some strange ailment. Baba seemed subject to this strange disease from the beginning of his avataric work to the dropping of his body. The period of August and September 1947 was no exception. Upon Baba's arrival at Mehrabad in the last week of August, he suddenly had a severe attack of bronchial pneumonia and had a high temperature. The happy mood in which the Mandali had seen him at Satara completely vanished, and he looked very tired and weak. In spite of the ban on correspondence during this period, some Baba lovers could not refrain from writing to Baba, requesting him to end this horrible homicide on the borders. Some Baba people in India felt that life was being shaken to its foundations, for basic values of culture were at stake. Perhaps my personal reactions may give an idea of the storm raging in the hearts of others. For me, it was a tense period, a mad, mad whirl that led me to a sea, and I feared that I might jettison the values so fondly cherished since my contacts with Meher Baba. Every day, the dreadful stories that flashed through the newspapers upset me and made me sick with horror. Mass suffering on the boundaries of India and Pakistan affected me deeply. It all kept my mind, it all kept my mind feverishly occupied. Coercive forces of communal hatred and embitterment were let loose. Those who were spared from this ghastly fate by a freak of chance were suffering equally. I did not write to Baba, but the trend of my thoughts made me doubt my own conclusions. The old mistrust of spiritual values manifested in my mind and attempted to play its game of deception. Try as I would, I could not get a clue or directive to act upon. Nobody suffers in vain. Who is responsible for all this? God or man or karma or what? I thought. This attitude changed the course of my reading. I glanced through some books on socialism And during a return trip from Bombay, I had communist literature with pictures of Lenin and Stalin in my bag. It was an added inducement, but that reading did not offer bread to my hungry soul. Again, to be frank, I was biting off more than could be chewed, much less digested. I also wished to meet Mahatma Gandhi, but he had left for Noakhali in East Bengal to subdue the wave of fanaticism. I wrote to Acharya Vinoba Bhave, the founder of the Bhudhan movement in India. He granted my request to stay a few days in the ashram at Pavnar near Sevagram, Wardha. This short stay enhanced my regard for Bhave, but somehow I felt that I must return to Meher Baba only. His luminous presence, with its moon-like silence, had touched the deeper recesses of my heart, and it retrieved me from my waywardness. After one comes in contact with Meher Baba, not necessarily in person, but when the heart clicks, a new sport awaits you. Baba shakes you, your thoughts and feelings, perhaps violently, thus helping you to shed the peripheral view of life. The inside is revealed, the good and bad in you come out, and a thrilling romance with the divine is ushered into your life. Through triumphs and penalties, you learn to express what you are, to do what you can, and to leave the rest to the God man. In the end, he awakens you to an understanding of your potentialities and limitations for service and the part you have to play in this world. I am reminded of two incidents in my life with Meher Baba when I saw him suffering for his love of humanity. In 1956, after the auto accident at Uttara near Satara, Baba's pelvis and entire right leg were put in a plaster cast. Later, the cast was removed and the leg was put in traction with weights attached. In spite of all possible medical care, the pain in the hip joint was excruciating. One day, Baba traced with his finger a little circle on the spot of the fracture and then, making a wide circle in the air, gestured to say the suffering of the whole universe is concentrated on this little spot. This is a tangible expression of the universal suffering I bear. Life Circular number 33 is where that quote is from, published on December 21st, 1956. This was the period when the Hungarians were struggling hard for freedom in Europe. In that fight, many were lying wounded and helpless on the roads away from loved ones. And in this context, Meher Baba had remarked, nobody suffers in vain. Man unknowingly suffers for God, self-realization, and God, the God-man, knowingly suffers for man, betterment of humanity. This quote of Baba is from Life Circular number 32, again published December 6, 1956. The second incident occurred during my stay with Meher Baba in the late 60s at Meherazad. I was there during the winter vacation of my school. As usual, Baba came to the Mandali's room in the morning. As the pain in his hip joint was still very serious, he could not sit on a chair for very long at a time. So he wished to rest on the hospital bed that was by the side of his seat. As Baba instructed, Iruch continued reading aloud letters received from Baba lovers in the East and the West. In one of the letters, the writer, who was from the United States, seemed very perturbed over the burning problem and precarious situation in Vietnam. This person expected a reply from Baba on this point. Baba rarely commented on political matters except to make a few general statements. That day, in replying to that particular letter, he just gestured. Everything happens by the will of God and is necessary. Perhaps to denote that it was absolutely necessary for even the God man to suffer severely, even up to the end, the great event of dropping the body. To me, Baba's remark did not indicate mere fatalism and was not an indication to either justify human weakness or glorify virtues. It was rather a suggestion to act every moment in accordance with the deepest promptings of the heart, without unnecessarily brooding over the past. Understanding things as they are does not necessarily mean that one should continue with them as they stand. A visit to Surat, Gujarat. On August 11th, 1947, Meher Baba sent out a special circular to his disciples and devotees residing in the subcontinent of undivided India. He enjoined them to remain loyal and faithful to the government wherever they decided to stay as citizens, India or Pakistan. On August 15th, engaged in his work of contacting Mas, Baba was traveling in a car under difficult circumstances. He was fasting throughout the period of that particular must tour, another strain on his body, in addition to the journey through heat, rain, and flood. Floods necessitated long detours and delays, which brought great pressure on Baba's health. By the time he reached Mehrabad from Satara, he began to suffer physically, the outward expression of his inner suffering. By the first week of September 1947, the essential repairs to the rest house at Mehrazad had been completed. On September 10th, Baba, with a small group of men and women mandali, left Mehrabad, Arangaon, and commenced his stay at Mehrazad, Pimpalgaon, Malvi. On instructions from Meher Baba, special arrangements were made at Mehrabad in August for the permanent residence of the Mast Ali Shah, fondly known as Bapji, one of the delightful favorites of Baba. With Muhammad Tukaram Chawan, another favorite, Bapji lived there until he dropped his body on December 27, 1956. Manik Mehta of Bombay arranged a darshan program at Surat, Gujarat for Meher Baba to be held during the third week of September. The dates for the program were undecided until the 11th hour, and it was on the point of being cancelled, but eventually Baba did visit Surat. There had been a little opposition from some students of the Parekh Technical Institute, which were ill informed about Baba. Kaka, Adi Senior, Pendu, Gustaji, Baidul, Erich, and a few more of the Mandali accompanied Baba on this visit to Surat. Arrangements were made for Baba to stay in Mr. Vakil's bungalow. The public program of darshan was held in a spacious hall and was very well attended, particularly by educated people. Meher Baba's loving, radiant presence silenced the mischief mongers, and the entire event was carried out peacefully. In a special program arranged for the Parsi Zoroastrian community, Manik Mehta and Barjor Mehta delivered fine speeches on Meher Baba's divinity, and Baba gave a special message for his Zoroastrian followers, part of which is given below. By the way, I realized very recently that Mehta and many other uh, Indian sounding or Hindu sounding last names are actually adopted by Parsis. Like my close friend in Dubai, a Baba lover, is Ruzbe Mehta, but he's actually Parsi. And I read the message below: the flow and spirit of love. As a born Zoroastrian, I can well imagine your elation to find me among so many of you here who, like myself, also happen to be Zoroastrian by birth. But having realized once and for all the truth, which is the goal of all life and the end of each and every religion, I have thereby transcended all religions. To me, therefore, every religion is equally an approach to arrive at the same infinite ocean of love and bliss. Selfishness is the root cause of all troubles. It is all the more dangerous because, under the subtle influence of selfishness, the worst evils are apt to assume false colors of chivalry, sacrifice, nobility, service, and even love. Of all the forces that which can best overcome all difficulties is the love that knows how to give without necessarily bargaining for a return. There is nothing that love cannot achieve, and there is nothing that love cannot sacrifice. Pure love is matchless in majesty, it has no parallel in power, and there is no darkness it cannot dispel. It is the undying flame that has set all life aglow. The light of love is not free from its fire of sacrifices. Just as it can never be too late or too early to learn to love for the sake of love, there can be nothing too small or too big to be sacrificed or sacrificed for. The flow of life, the flow of light, and the flow of love are as much in the drop as in the ocean. I repeat, the flow of life, the flow of light, and the flow of love are as much in the drop as in the ocean. The smallest thing is as big as the biggest, and the biggest thing is as small as the smallest. It all depends upon the particular yardstick with which one measures. My blessings to you, one and all. Maybe we stop here and continue to see what happens during the Sahwas in the next week, the Surat Sahwas. I will draw this meeting to a close at this time. Thank you so much for joining. And don't forget to join us tomorrow, where we do something very interesting. We take discourses and extend it to more discourses from part two of Listen Humanity, right? So we are extending our discourses reading to include what are also clearly discourses by Meher Baba, uh, put together by Don Stevens in part two of Listen Humanity. It's a small part, but gems of discourses are available there, and there is no overlap with discourses. So we feel that it's a good extension of that journey. Please join us as we take that up tomorrow.
What is it about, Kartik? What
Uh,
the discourses?
So the discourses are varied. It starts with I think there are multiple, I think about 12 topics, 12
Oh,
chapters under that part. And some of them, one of them we were discussing today with Ashok is on sleep. There's another one on death. And then there are other
yeah,
10 topics. It's very beautiful. Very beautiful.
yeah, I've read that. Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your Saturday and see you all tomorrow. Avtar Meher Baba Ki
Meher
Jai.
Baba Ki Jai.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
Avtar
you.
Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar. Jai
Thank you,
Baba.
sir. Jai Baba.